everybody. Welcome back to the My Edge podcast. We are super excited to have Heather Sasser here with us tonight. Heather has been a longtime member and volunteer at AMA Houston, is someone that I've worked with professionally and as well as Emily. But most importantly, she is a video marketing specialist. So we have Heather here to talk about video marketing. Heather, tell us a little bit about your background in video and how that has evolved into VideoEnvy.
Great. Well, I'm president and co-founder of VideoEnvy, and our story really starts back to when we were both kids. I grew up in the Midwest in a small town. I always relate town sizes to the size of your high school, right? Everybody can relate that way. And my high school was about 1,000 kids. We were a traditional Midwestern school, which means that we were basically all white, so not diverse. Grew up just outside of the town in a little ranch house. And what I remember growing up is every evening, my dad had NBC Nightly News on. And I was always fascinated by where the reporters are and what they were doing. And I really remember when the Gulf War was going on and Desert Storm and watching correspondents tell the stories at those war locations and wanting to do that, which sounds crazy. Like, you wanted to be at war? Yes, because you were the only person that could relate what was going on there to everybody back home. And so that, to me, started my broadcast career. And so I went to college for broadcast journalism and worked as a reporter at a couple different markets in town. And what I loved was the small market television stations. You told great stories. Because there's not crime, there's not shootings going on all the time. You're not chasing those type of breaking news. So you had to find a true story. And I loved it. And then I started working in Las Vegas at an NBC affiliate as a freelancer. And that's when it all went down for me. I can remember being in the desert covering a bus accident between Las Vegas and LA. Bus accidents happen frequently. And I remember thinking at that moment, what am I doing here? Like, who's benefiting from me telling this story? That was really the end of my broadcast career. I knew that's not what I wanted to do. It had too much sensationalism. And so I got into the video production side. And that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years. I did a little stint with the Muscular Dystrophy Association, telling the stories of all the families that have neuromuscular diseases, which was amazing. And then worked for a video production company here that went under. And so my business partner, Pat Lee, and I started VideoEnvy as a way to see how we could do it better, how we could tell stories that didn't cost clients $20,000 to tell their story. And we've been in business now 6 years, and we love it. Every day is a different day, and we're learning a little about a lot of different businesses.
So video is such a hot topic. Everybody, I mean, we all have heard stats or read something somewhere that says you have to do video or you're going down, right? Really, I mean, there's some things out there. So I think we've all seen examples of really great videos. We've all seen examples of videos that were like, why am I watching this, right? What is the point of this? So when you are telling a company or working with a company who thinks, I want to try video or I want to do video, what is it that you tell them, or how do you work with them to figure out what is the content that should be part of that video? What should you be saying? What's worth it to people?
So I think it's like any other marketing campaign. You have to start with, what is your end goal? And everyone has a different end goal. Maybe it's getting the sales process to make the bridge between the sales person and the yes. Maybe it's educating your customers on a product, a brand new product that launched. Maybe it's training your employees on something. You know, the onboarding of employees is incredibly important. And there's studies that show watching a video helps those employees retain that information more. So it's really going back to where the end goal is and working your way backwards to find out that story. And it's asking a lot of questions. A lot of clients that we go to, we sit down and start going through a list of questions, and we find out what they think they should tell in the video is not really what's going to get them to their goal. And so it's a lot of that investigation of asking questions and finding out what it is, and then working yourself backwards. And the other thing that people need to remember is just because you produce a great video doesn't mean it's going to get you to your end goal. You have to have a campaign after that video is done. You can't, I hear all that, I did a video and nothing happened. Well, what did you do with the video? Did you promote it? Did you put it in an email blast? What did you do? People aren't just going to show up on your website and watch a video. Just because you put a video there doesn't turn into thousands of people coming to your website.
Right.
Full disclosure, everyone, Heather and I have worked together on numerous projects. VideoEnvy's done a lot for my company, Liquid Frameworks. And maybe you could share with us what that process looks like, because I'm not an expert in video. And so we know we need to do it. and we know in a lot of different capacities, but maybe you could tell the listeners kind of what that looks like.
Sure. For the videos that we've done for Liquid Frameworks, the majority of them have been a video that kicks off their user conference every year. And to do that, you want to tell a great customer story, which is a value story. And a customer can speak so much about you without you having to brag on yourself. And so to start that process, Emily identifies, you know what, we want to feature company X, and then gives that person's name to me. And we do a phone call with that company. Basic Energy Services is one that we did this past year. And we have a lengthy phone call, a pre-interview is what I call it. And we spend about 30 minutes talking to them and asking questions to find out what were the problems they were having before, what has life been like now that they use Liquid Frameworks product, and figuring out that story. And then visually, what does that look like? Because people can have a great story, but if you can't tell it visually, which is what video is, it's very hard to convey. And so then we go through that process. And based on that, I create interview questions that will help us get to those answers that we need to tell that value story.
Well, and beyond that, I think it's important to say that a lot of times the people that will be in the video are not necessarily used to being in video. And so it's nice because Heather has been able to say, here's the types of things that you probably want to wear and that you might not want to wear. And these are the types of questions that you can expect. And this is how this is going to work so that, they can be comfortable and shine in the video. I think that's really important.
That's a good segue into this because I think that there are people who think that because they have an iPhone that they can record any video they want on their own. And that's really the beauty of that iPhone, right? That we all can be content creators and we all should be content creators. And there's a time and a place for that. I think there's also a time and a place for having an expert. So Emily just listed a couple of reasons why you would want an expert, right? They can say, wear this, say this, and you're going to coach them through, you're going to give them interview questions. Talk us through that a little bit too, because there's, I think, keep being more and more of a shift and a turn towards do it yourself, DIY video.
Yes.
And so talk us through
and
that.
And there's benefits of it. For sure, an iPhone takes beautiful still images. You can do a lot with it video-wise where you don't need to buy a fancy professional camera. I mean, iPhones are $1,000, so you are spending a lot on a camera on your phone. And there is a time and the place. And I think stories on Instagram, when you're there and you're in action, that makes sense to be done on your phone because it's real live. You can put it out instantly. There's no post-production time. Those are great times. If you have a phone and you have the proper equipment, you can do a lot of things yourself. You can buy the mic that goes into your phone. You can set up a light. And so to me, it's more a video production team, there's a lot of different ones in Houston, a lot of great ones. It's understanding composition. It's understanding lighting. It's making sure the audio looks good. And on a phone, you can do that if you have the skills to do that. And so it depends on the person. For instance, and I think people to remember their image. My husband sent me a link to a video on LinkedIn, and it was an insurance broker. And it was clearly a video he did himself. And there was so much headroom. He was very far back from the camera. It was very dark. And you really couldn't hear what he was saying because he didn't have a microphone on. And when I saw that video, I thought he's doing himself more harm than good. Because looking at that, I think if that's how he's going to do a video, how would he be doing the due diligence for my company to work with him for insurance reasons? And so I think you have to think of the situation you're in, and that video lasts forever and it's out there and that's your image. Just like you want a website that looks nice, just like you want a logo that tells your story, printed materials, it all goes hand in hand. And there are great times to do iPhone videos and then times when you really want to tell a story that it's time to hire the professionals.
When it sounds like you probably should take the same approach if you're going to do a homemade video that you would with the professional video. Start with the end in mind. What's our goal with this?
Right.
What is the story that we want to tell? Maybe rather than just putting record and going for it, pause for a second, take 5 minutes even just to say, okay, what are we really trying to accomplish here?
Right. And at the end of your video, tell them what you want them to do. Put up a graphic that says, contact me, or you get 20% off this product, or visit this site to download a white paper. Whatever it is you want them to do, make sure you tell them what you want them to do at the end instead of leaving them hanging.
So we've said the word storytelling a couple times. Tell us, how do you use video to tell a story, or what are the components that people need in a video to make sure they're telling a story?
Recently, I went to Kendra Hall. She's a storyteller. She just came out with a great book called Stories That Stick. It's going up quickly on lots of bestsellers, and it's a great book for businesses that are marketing themselves, whether in print or video or anything else. And she talks about that there are 4 key components to a story, and it's identifiable character, which is a person, not a company. And that's where a lot of people, I think, go wrong. There's authentic emotion, a particular moment, and specific detail. So she did a research on her storytelling method. And what she found out was 63% of the respondents found that the stellar storytelling model kept their attention longer. It was more memorable and it was more persuasive. And so using those 4 components made a big difference instead of doing a story that a lot of people don't know how to tell. Storytelling, I think, is a big buzzword right now. And everybody says they're telling a story, but are they really?
Well, and from my perspective, I know how we've used these videos. The sales team has just grasped onto them. And whenever we have a meeting with a new potential client, the first thing that they do is they'll play one of those testimonial videos because they're so powerful. You have your customer telling your story for you in their own environment, and the sales rep doesn't really have to do anything. I mean, don't tell them I said that.
But that's what it does. It bridges that gap and it closes the sales process.
That's right. Heather, do you recommend that people have a script for a video? I know you tend to prepare questions and bullet points, but do you suggest having a script, or do you feel like that can come off too rehearsed? What is your philosophy?
Depends on the type of video. So if it is a message the CEO, say, is getting out to his employees, an internal message, I would say don't do a script, because then you sound robotic and scripted. And a lot of people will ask us, can you have a teleprompter? Yes, we can. Have you ever used one before? No. Well, it's not that easy. And the people that do the news and use the teleprompter get paid a lot of money for that. And people think, I just put up a teleprompter and I can read it. Well, people can tell when you're reading. So our advice is always to put it in your own words. Don't try to memorize it. Don't try to do a rehearsed script. Just tell your story, and then the authentic emotion comes out. There are times when a script is needed. If you're doing a new product launch, let's say, and you need to tell very specific parts of that product, and you need to have a voiceover artist, then you put a script together.
That's good advice.
So you kind of listed a couple of these off earlier when we were talking about how people use video. I think there's people who have been on the fence who are like, I don't know, videos for me. Maybe they don't know like all the different uses. So tell us some of the types of videos that people could use.
I think video can be used for any situation. And it's just like any other marketing tool. You can use it for internal or external communication. So you can tell your branding and your value story that we've talked about with a customer testimonial. You can do a founder story about how that company started. You can do a purpose-driven video, which we saw actually at our AMA luncheon this week with BBVA. They showed a great video that showed what they were doing for diversity within their company. It was a great use of video. Explainer videos. There are product demos. There are almost like an FAQ video. So if your company continues to get a lot of the same questions and it's taking up a lot of your staff time, create a video series that answers those questions and that you can direct people to through your email blasts. So if they need to know how to reset a light in their house, go to that video and then it answers that question, and it saves your internal team time to work on bigger proposals and bigger client needs.
So just as an add-on to that, also coming from a company that does use quite a bit of video, there are also tools out there that you can use to turn your videos into lead generation machines. We personally use a tool called Brightcove, and it's really nifty because you can let someone watch a certain percentage of the video and then a little form will pop up. In order to watch the rest of the video, they have to provide their email address. So beyond just sales reps sharing them at meetings or at conferences, we also have certain videos on our website that provide real leads for us, which is really powerful.
And you guys have a lot of videos on your website that we did, the spotlight videos, where you're giving just a little nugget of information about the different parts of your platform, right? So people can find out, it does this. It's just enough to make them ask more questions, get them interested and ask more questions, and then go to your sales team.
Basically, what we did is we took paper data sheets and turned them into a series of videos. And the videos are wildly popular because nobody wants to read a data sheet. Let's face it, they'd much rather watch a 1.5 minute video.
And consumers say they are 400 times more likely to watch a video than read information about the same product. That's a lot, 400 times.
And Emily, you shared a really interesting stat with me earlier too about videos and email.
I did. From HubSpot's Ultimate Guide to Video Marketing, email open rates increase by 19% when video is mentioned in the email title. 19%. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot. Yeah.
So really, I think before we end the interview, we need to talk about really the most pressing and important piece of video is cat videos.
Do you recommend them in the marketing strategy?
That may be when you should use your iPhone.
Yeah, maybe a better option. Yeah. So if someone never used video before or has like toyed with it and said this didn't work for me, or maybe it just wasn't a good story or whatever, if you were going to say, here's the top 5 things that you need to do, or top 3, whatever it is, to get started and really get a video strategy going as part of your marketing plan, what would those things be?
At one thing at a time. Don't try to cram 5 different ideas into a single video. I think that happens a lot. And we see that with a lot of our clients on the onboarding process. They want to say X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you're like, slow down. Let's focus on one message so that it's not diluted. So that would be my first piece of advice. Really single out that one topic and that one goal and focus the video on that. Remember, the video is your image. So know when it's time to spend the money, get the return on your investment by producing a nice video that they can see you, they can hear you, that you're showing video that matches what they're talking about. They're not just staring at a screen for 4 minutes, because no one's going to watch somebody speaking with nothing over it for 4 minutes. So think about your image and what you're trying to convey. Tell a story. It's powerful. Think through those storytelling components. I recommend Kendra's book if you want a place to start on how to develop that story. And then listen, ask a lot of questions. And by asking questions, you get to the heart of the story. It just takes a little while. It's not going to happen in the first 2 questions. If I walked up to you, Erica, and said, what do you want to tell me about Bright Spot? We're not going to get there right away. It's going to take some time.
It's good advice.
Great. Well, Heather, thank you so much for being here on the show. Tell us, where do you hang out online? And where does VideoEnvy hang out so people know how to find you?
So VideoEnvy, VideoEnvy.com. You can find us on Facebook, VideoEnvy Media, and Instagram. And then we're also on LinkedIn. And then personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Heather Kelly Sasser. So send out a message to me. I'd love to connect.
Thanks, Heather, for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to everybody for listening. If you liked what you heard, we would love for you to subscribe. Leave us a review, maybe even a 5-star.
That would be fantastic. And, if you're listening on your phone or iPad or something, if you want to take a quick screenshot and then share that on Instagram or Facebook, make sure you tag AMA Houston in the share and let other people know about this podcast too.